Hey guys, how's it going? So the other day I did some testing with stamina training and it raised some interesting questions, so in this video I'm going to show you guys some more testing that I did. But if you haven't watched that first video yet, you really should because it has a lot to do with what I'm going to talk about now. So with stamina, we basically saw that training is better than not training at all, but the intensity of the training didn't matter as much. The thing about stamina though is that it doesn't increase that often during fights, so you're really getting the best out of your training. That's what I wanted to find out, so this time I tried some weapon training instead. So again, I took 3 guys and assigned them each a condition. This guy didn't train at all, this guy trained on calm 15%, and this one trained on intense 32%. Now the skill I was training was one-handed swords, but I didn't actually use a sword with any of them so that we could see, like with stamina, how the skill increases when it's primarily being affected by the flat skill increase. And as you can see in this graph, it's pretty similar to the stamina one. Gradual increases across the board, with intense training only slightly outperforming the calm training. Now what happens when you actually use the weapon that you're training for? Well, there you go, big difference. This one really illustrates how intense training does actually make a difference over calm training, particularly with some huge increases early on. There are a few other interesting things going on here though. It does seem as though skill gain slows down the higher you get, which allows the calm training to start catching up to the intense training. Another thing that's pretty cool to look at is the actual number of in-game skill increases. So in each table here, you can see the number of increases week by week during each fight. There are actually a few weird things going on here that I'm not sure how to account for. First of all, the no training condition saw the fewest total increases, which could mean that training increases the number of increases you get, or it might actually have to do with wooden weapons. I noted which fights I used a wooden sword in because they seem to correlate with a lot of skill increases. I think that makes sense because they do less damage and therefore you can get more hits in with them, so maybe because I only used a wooden sword once with no training, that skewed the numbers. Another weird result though is that the calm training actually had the most increases, and unlike the other two conditions, it didn't totally die out after week 5. So some things here could probably use some more testing, but I think some other things are pretty clear. Looking at the graph and the number of increases in the intense condition, training hard with a wooden weapon in the first few weeks might be the best way you can train. This gives you a huge boost early on, and then you could keep doing it or not since it becomes less effective later on. A lower intensity remains a perfectly valid option too though if you want to conserve money or stamina. And finally, comparing weapon training to another stat like stamina, it certainly looks like having the weapon training as the main focus is going to get you a lot more bang for your buck. So that's that for this one. Leave a comment if you have any thoughts on this stuff or if there's something else you think I should test, and as always, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.